Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Christine's Stampin' Spot. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm really excited to share today's simple card with you. This card is made using one of the brand new and my personal favorite stamp sets that was just released in the brand new annual catalog, which just came out June 1st of this year, 2018. And this particular stamp set is called Abstract Impressions. I've done another video using this stamp set on YouTube. This is the card that I made in a different video if you'd like to check that out. This one uses some of the larger floral images. And as you can see, the one we're going to make today uses some of the grass and some of the flowers and the butterfly from the stamp set. Please also don't forget that I am doing an online class using this stamp set and the coordinating Thinlit dies that come with it at a bundle price. If you want to buy them together, you save 10%. And that class closes at noon on Monday. So please make sure to send me an email if you would like to join the class. I will link below in the description box of this video to my blog post about the class, as well as to my video explaining the class in detail. So if you'd like to get this stamp set, the coordinating Thinlit dies, and some ink pads for that class, plus get a bunch of free goodies from me to make the cards, make sure to check out the informational video and blog post about my class. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on our card today. This is a very simple card, and one thing that I absolutely love about this stamp set is it enables you to make super simple cards in a very short amount of time, but they look really pretty and artistic when you're done with them. This card took about 5 minutes for me to put together, in all honesty. It's gonna take a little longer on the video because I'm gonna explain everything and that sort of thing. But if you were just sitting down with this set, I think you'd be surprised at how quickly you can put some cards together, which if you're busy like me, and I know we all are, that's a great benefit to some of these stamp sets. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stamp the little grass along the bottom. So we are going to be using these two stamps in the set here in order to get this look at the bottom. So we're going to use our more solid lined version first. So we're going to go left to right, lightest color to darkest color. So this is what your first image is going to look like. It's the thicker of the grass images. I'm going to bring over a piece of Whisper White cardstock that I have cut at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I'm also going to bring over some scratch paper. This is the Stampin' Up! Grid paper, as well as a little piece of foam. When I'm working with photopolymer stamps, I like to have a little bit of cushion underneath my stamping surface. Because they are photopolymer, they don't have that extra padding that a red rubber stamp will have, so I just like to have a little something extra underneath my stamp surface. You could use a mouse pad, you could use your catalog even, if you prefer. Now, like I said, we're going to do the thicker image first in our lightest color. Our lightest color for the greens today is going to be Granny Apple Green. This is a brand new color. Stampin' Up! Just did in the brand new catalog a complete color revamp, which means that they retired some colors and came out with newer, kind of more modern colors. And this is one of them that's now in our Brights collection. They also redid all of their ink pads. I will still be using a lot of the older ones until I am able to replace my collection slowly but surely. But if you still have the older ink pads, they will work for any of the techniques that I'm going to show on my channel, and you'll see me using those older pads in my videos for some time. But the new ink pads are great, and let me just show you quickly how they open. You have a little groove here at the end of the ink pad, so you just kind of stick your fingernail in there, open it up, and then push the lid back, and you are ready to go. So now I'm going to get this thicker grass image all inked up, and then we're just going to line it up and we're going to stamp it 3 times across the bottom of our Whisper White cardstock panel. So let me go ahead and do that quickly. Apply even pressure across the acrylic block and then lift straight up. And there you go, you have a lovely image there. Do it again, and a 3rd time, just to fill the bottom of the panel here. And as you can see, I have this scratch paper because some of it's stamping off just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to quickly clean that off because I'm going to reuse my block here for the second part of this stamp, which is the thinner image of the grass as I showed you on the cover of the stamp set. And this one will be done in our darker green color, which for this card is going to be Garden Green. So we're done with Granny Apple Green, and now I'm going to bring over Garden Green. Now what's great about this particular stamp set is because it's abstract, you don't have to worry about lining things up perfectly. You just get to throw caution to the wind, if you will, and just stamp these down wherever you want it. The idea is to make it look fun, artistic, and a bit random. And that's what makes it really, really fun. So as you can see, I'm not worried. My head's not in the frame because I'm not worried about how I'm lining it up. And there you go. Now you have two-toned colored grass, which looks really pretty at the bottom of our card there. All right, so now we're going to work on the little blooms that go along the top of the grass. And that is these little flowers here, as you can see. Oops, I'm sorry, I had that off camera. As you can see in the final card. We're going to be using from the stamp set this image right here and this image right here. Again, you're going to go left to right. You're going to start with your more solid filled in image, and that's going to be in your lightest ink color. And then you will use this one, and that will be in your darkest ink color. So for the colors that I chose, we'll be doing our lightest in Bermuda Bay and our darkest in Pacific Point. So let me bring over my Bermuda Bay. And here is that thicker image, which is the one we're going to do first. I'm just going to ink it up in the Bermuda Bay. And then I'm just going to stamp it down. Again, you don't really have to worry too much about where you're putting it. I'm just kind of making sure it's at the top of the blades of grass and then stamp down. There you go. And see, again, I have this scratch paper because some of it's going to be stamped off because I did go a little bit over, if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to do this again about, let's do it about here. Even pressure, lift straight up, and then we're going to do it one more time about here. Like so. Yep, that looks good right there. And there you have it. Isn't that pretty? And of course you could stop there if you wanted. There's nothing that says you must use all of the stamps to create your card. You can do it however you want. It's your stamp set, and it's so artistic of a stamp set, so beautifully designed that you really can use your imagination and do however you would like. But I'm going to go ahead and do the second step. And so I'm going to bring over my Pacific Point, which is my darkest blue color. And here's that second image that I showed you before. And it's going to go right over top of this Bermuda Bay that we just stamped down. Again, you don't have to worry too much about lining it up. I'm just kind of making sure that the little tendrils of the petals don't cover the center of the flowers as best I can. But again, it really doesn't matter. So here we go. We're going to ink it down. It's a little off on that one, but it's okay. You're going to see that it's actually okay. It's going to look pretty no matter what we do. And then we're going to do it one last time here. There we go. Okay, very pretty, very pretty. Clean that off super quick. Now we are going to close up our Pacific Point. We are done with our blues, and we're going to come over and grab our Blushing Bride because we are going to do the little butterfly. Now the little butterfly, as you can see, I've got three parts to it. I've got my lightest color, which is the most solid image of the butterfly, will be in Blushing Bride, and then the darkest part of the wings will be in Melon Mambo, and then I just did a little black body to the butterfly, which I did using Memento black ink. So let's go ahead and get this inked up in our Blushing Bride, which again is our lightest color, and I'm just going to ink that down, or stamp that down rather. There we go. There is our Blushing Bride. I'm going to take the darker color now, which is the second part of that image, and I'm going to grab my darker ink pad color, which is Melon Mambo. Open that up, get this inked up, and then we're just going to layer this over top. Again, you don't have to worry too much about it. There we go. And then we're going to grab the little body to the butterfly. And you could leave this off if you wanted to. It looks cute just like that, but I decided to add the little body, so I'm grabbing my Memento black ink. I'm going to ink up the body of the little butterfly, and I'm just going to stamp it down like so. There we go. So there's our butterfly. And then the last part of the stamping on this particular panel is our sentiment. And I chose to use the sentiment that says, if flowers were hugs, I'd send you 1,000. And I did that with my Melon Mambo ink. So I'm going to turn it back so the card is kind of centered. I like to use my grid paper to kind of make sure I'm getting things straight when the occasion calls for it, and I want my sentiment straight. So I kind of line my paper up along my grid paper, if that makes sense. And now I'm just going to stamp this down, lining it up as best I can so it's as straight as possible. And I'm just going to stamp it down, apply pressure, and lift up straight. And voila! Very pretty, I think. Okay, clean that off, and we are done with our stamping on this panel. I'm going to close up the Melon Mambo. Now, we're going to do one more set of stamping, and that is going to be on this piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock, which is going to layer right on top of our thick Whisper White card base. So this piece of Bermuda Bay is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. This card base is your standard A2 size card base, again cut out of thick Whisper White, and it, when folded, is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the solid image of the petals, this one right here. I'm going to take this one just for like a fun background, and I'm just going to kind of stamp it willy-nilly on the back, on the front of this Bermuda Bay cardstock with Bermuda Bay ink. So it's just going to kind of look like a little watermark. And I'm just going to stamp it around and around. No particular order to how I'm doing it. You don't have to stamp everything either, because you're going to have your main stamped panel covering the majority of this piece of cardstock. So we're just doing this to add just a little tiny bit of interest to our card, to this particular piece of cardstock. So again, I'm just inking this wherever I feel like it, no rhyme or reason to it. Because I don't know where my cardstock is going to start and stop, I'm just going to kind of quickly ink in the middle here. But again, most of that's going to be covered. And I really like sometimes tone on tone like this. It can give a really pretty look to it, and I really enjoy that. And let's just do one more here. Okay, there we go. That is all done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring, let me put my scratch paper aside, and we are going to bring a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock over, which our stamped flower and butterfly panel is going to lay on top of. This Melon Mambo panel is cut at 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. So I'm just going to put some, you can see I was practicing on the back here. I'm just going to put some snail on the back of this, like so, and then just center it on top of this Melon Mambo panel here. All right. And that is done. Okay, now I'm going to bring over my card base, which was done out of, again, thick Whisper White cardstock, and the Bermuda Bay panel that we stamped on. And we're going to put some snail on the back of the Bermuda Bay. And then we're just going to center that in the center of our folded card base, like so. Now we're going to take our main stamped panel, and it's going to go right in the middle. I'm going to do that with dimensionals. So these are just some Stampin' dimensionals because I wanted to give this a little bit of a pop. I just thought it would look pretty popped up just a little bit. So we're just going to add 5 dimensionals here. Peel the backings off super quick. And then we will stick this down centered on top of our card panel. Just like this. Looks good, just like that. Now the very last step is I'm going to take some Whisper White baker's twine, and I'm going to unroll a little bit of here, quite a bit, so I can create a little bow at the top of the card. Snip this off the roll, and then I'm just going to tie this in a bow right along the top of the card here. Make sure I'm in the camera frame. There we go. So we're going to tie a little bow, just like so, and then kind of make it a little bit smaller by pulling on the ends, and then we're going to snip the ends so they're a little bit shorter. Probably snip this one just a little bit more. Now what I like to do when I tie a little bow like this at the top of a card, I like to grab a little mini glue dot and just kind of stick it underneath the center of the bow, just so that bow doesn't go anywhere I don't want it to go. So I'm just going to use my scissors here and grab a glue dot, and I am going to, these are mini glue dots, and I'm going to stick it down on the paper panel and then stick the bow, the center of the bow, right on top. So there you go. Now you have a cute little bow at the top of the card, and it doesn't hang off, so it'll still fit inside an envelope just fine. Okay, and then the very last step is I took a few little rhinestone jewels. I took the smallest size, and I only put 3 on this particular card. I just picked a few random flowers to put it in the center of. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and I just thought that that gave it a little bit of extra bling. So there you go. There is our finished card. Here is the one that I made before coming on camera, so you can see how easy that was to put together. And I think you're left with a really cute project at the end. At least I hope you guys like it. So thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. Don't forget to check out this other video of this card that I made using the same stamp set if you're interested. And also don't forget to check out my class that I will be doing, my online card class, using this stamp set, the coordinating Thinlit dies, and then a bunch of freebies I'll be sending you to create the cards in class. I will link in the description box below to my blog and to everything I just mentioned, so you can check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys so much again for stopping by. Your support means the world to me, and I really, really appreciate you all. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.